Hey, what's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Scopedog Turbo Custom here from Waves. This is Waves 1/35 scale, the PS version. So remember, these Wave Votoms kits come in a PS version and an ST version. The ST versions do not have a pilot figure and internals for the cockpit. The PS versions, I hope I got that straight, do have internals for the cockpit and a pilot figure included inside. So the PS versions are really cool if you want to be able to show off the inside of the kit as well and the pilot figure in there. So this is the Red Shoulder Turbo Custom here, and it comes with a whole bunch of weapons there. Other than that, I mean, it's basically just going to be very similar to the Scopedog. I mean, it's got the different like turbo parts for the legs, I guess, which I don't think that we've taken a look at. But otherwise, we have taken a look at a number of different kits in this line before, so it should be very similar. I really like the size and the detail on these. They're smaller, but they're like highly detailed. They do tend to be a little bit like less solid straight out of the box compared to Bandai's HGs, but I think these are really nice model kits if you're a fan of the Votoms series. So let's go ahead and get into it for today's video. And so you gotta love the box art design for these too. I love like the low opacity here on the text, which is kind of there on the front. You've got the Votoms logo, and then just kind of focused mostly on this beautiful Okawara artwork there of the Turbo Custom, which looks really cool. Pretty thick box here too for this one. Again, here's a reminder on the bottom that this is the PS version. We also have all our titling there, and again, a reminder that this is in 1/35 scale. The same thing on both ends. This side has just a couple of simple, nice big reference images there of the kit front and back, just fully painted and pen aligned and all that. It's not weathered, not decaled. You'll notice there's some more text over here. And then on the other side, we have a bunch more detail images showing kind of different, this is kind of different variants that you can make here with this. So depending on kind of how you want to weaponize this, you can see there's some different weapon options there basically. And then of course we have the parts in the legs and then the down form there as well with the MSRP for this one. Not appearing here on the box, I guess. I thought they usually put the MSRP here somewhere around here on the box, although for some reason I'm not seeing. I don't think it's that part of the barcode there. I don't know. Anyway, never mind. I had it on screen for you guys at the start of the video. But yes, pretty full box here with a whole bunch of small runners. I will mention it's all the runners are all like this like small size. Now, I guess there are a couple of little bit larger ones here somewhat, but let's check out the instruction manual here. Another thing though that these kits always come with, which is really cool here, the Scopedog Turbo Custom, you get like alternate art kind of like different variants in each kit. So in this case, it's the ATM09 STTC, which is a really cool looking like yellow variant here, and then there's back art for that as well. I think this is not always normal. I think they don't, as far as I can remember, I don't think that they always include like the artwork for the back side as well. It's usually just the front, although I could be remembering that wrong anyway, so that's just a really cool kind of added thing that you have in there. But the instruction manual features this really cool like back shot of the painted model kit there on the front. On the back side, just some more detail images of a few different aspects of that. Also like color guide here for the internals and for the cockpit, for the pilot I should say. That's here on like the back inside page there as well. The color guide for that, and the paints are listed over here on this page right there, the seals as well. There's some instructions about how to transform it into the down form, and then back to the front of the manual here, we're just kind of straight off into the construction as soon as you're into it there. So it just goes through the construction of the body, the weapons, and everything else. Pretty standard here. And we unfortunately do not have any waterslide decals included, but we do have some foil stickers here for the eyes there, for the scope anyway. So yeah, we got a whole bunch of runners with this guy. Let's get into it. We've got this polycap runner here in green and this larger polycap runner there in green for a whole bunch of polycaps. Runner A here also in green. Then runners B and D are going to be here in this kind of bluish gray color there for some internal parts, then some parts for the scope there. Runner E is our large green runner there with some more of the armor parts. Runners C and E are combined here both in clear for just a couple of clear parts. Runner F we have two of for some parts here in light green, parts there for the arms. Runner G we also have two of in green here, more parts for the arms. And then same thing here with runner H for all of our hand parts. Runner I is more parts here in a light green for the torso and the thighs. And then the J runner here, along with our two K runners, are more parts there in green for the legs. Runner L is more parts here in light green for the feet. Runner O, some more parts in dark green for the legs. And then runner P, a couple of parts here in light green for the knee joints, I believe. Runner Q here in a dark navy blue, parts for the arm gun and a couple other little bits on there. Runner R, some more parts in that bluish gray color there. Same thing here for runner S, parts for the internal cockpit there. Runner T here then in this bright fluorescent orange color is our pilot parts. Runner U is this one little part here for some missiles. Runner V, some more parts here in green for the missile pod and shoulder parts. And then we have our weapon runners. So these ones carry a different marking here. It just says weapon A. So weapon A obviously is the parts for the rifle there. Weapon B is like the shorter rifle. Weapon C is the grenade launcher here. All those obviously in the dark navy blue, but the rocket launcher here in green for weapon D runner. And then finally, weapon runner G is some more ammo packs there. We've got 2 of those. That's it. So there's a whole bunch of runners here, as you can see. Let me go ahead and get everything all put together and we'll check it out. So, all right, guys, here is our Turbo Custom all built up here. No red shoulder, unfortunately, but we do have a bunch of different option parts, especially like a lot of option weaponry included with this one. And as it goes, if you've seen any of my previous reviews on any of the other 1/35 scale Votoms kits here from Wave, I'm going to recommend you definitely glue some of the parts on there. And we'll go over that in a bit more detail here in just a second. But one thing that you definitely have with these is a lot of really great detail on there. For the small size, they're really nicely detailed and they're just going to look really, really good once they're painted up, and maybe a little weathering on there as well. Like I said, one of the great things about this version of the Scopedog is all the different weaponry options that we have. So let's go ahead and take a look at those accessories. So first, just we don't really have much in terms of leftover parts, but one thing I'll point out to you is that you do have the regular shoulder parts. If you wanted to have this shoulder armor piece without the smoke launchers on there, it's just a completely different shoulder armor part just with the bit there for the hook. And you do have the hook part there as well if you wanted to have the shoulders to be symmetrical. And as for the weaponry, the combination of weaponry just depends on like whose version of this you want. So each one is for like a different pilot setup. One has the bazooka and the arm gun, one has the missile pod on the back and the shorter machine gun, etc. So there are canonical combinations of the weapons, but for the arm gun here, this is meant to just attach here onto the side of the arm. Now in order to do that, you're meant to actually drill holes in here, and it's actually the same for the missile pod here on the side of the torso. So here during assembly, you're actually supposed to drill a hole there because it doesn't come with a hole molded in there. So you have to drill that out while you're going through the assembly. And actually, I find the missile pod here to be slightly loose now. So it's definitely something that you'd want to glue if you're going through actually then like painting it. But anyway, the same thing goes here for the side of the arm. So if you want to attach the arm mounted gun onto the side of here, while you're going through the assembly, you actually have to drill holes in there, and it lets you know. I believe there were 2mm holes because that's what it was for the side there as well. And so you'll have to mount that onto there like so. Now, I wasn't completely sure that I ultimately want to have this attached onto the arm, probably so, but just for now, I didn't drill those holes in there. But anyway, that's how that's going to look. You are going to have some seam lines here on this gun, but otherwise some really cool details there. You might also want to drill out here for the gun, probably just with like a 1mm drill bit just to make that into an actual hole here for the barrel of that gun. Then we've got the standard machine gun here, and I have gone ahead and already attached the trigger finger hand onto the handle of this. There is going to be a seam line on the ammo pack. That's made up of 2 pieces there that are sandwiched together, and then seam lines on the actual rifle itself here and there on some of those bits, but some really nice detail. Like for example, you even have the molded switch detail over here for switching between like fully auto and semi-auto, for example. I believe that's what that is, and safety, I would guess. The secondary handle here on the front also moves to the side there for doing a 2-hander grip, if you could swing it, but I don't think that this kit is actually able to do a 2-hander grip. That said, you do have another hand option for the left side, which would be like in theory for doing that, for holding on to the secondary handle there, something like that. But yeah, I just don't think that it has the articulation to actually be able to bring the left arm all the way around to be able to do that. We'll give it a try anyway. And on that note, just about the hand options, the only other hands we have then are these closed fists. But one thing that you have with all of these kits is all of these different wrist connection pieces. So basically, depending on the angle that you want the wrist, you have to use a different wrist connection piece. So if you want like a really extreme angle, you could use this one, which is almost 90 degrees, or just a little bit of an angle, you could use this one. And so then like the direction would be either like up, down, left, right, just depending on how you have this attached in there. But like for the wrists, I just have them just as like a straight connection just directly into there. But if you wanted to even have the closed fist connected in at a bit of an angle, you could use one of these different connection pieces there for that. Unfortunately, those are kind of a pain to swap because it basically requires you to completely disassemble the hand, which is made up of a few different pieces there. And so not really the best in terms of how those are engineered. But moving on, we've got the smaller machine gun here. This has the same gimmicks of the forward handle being able to move up and down. And otherwise, it's going to be very much the same, except obviously it doesn't have this large bit there at the end, which I'm realizing there's a nub on the bottom of there that I missed. Oops, sorry about that. And then obviously has the longer barrel there at the front as well. So just a little bit different design, but oops, sorry about that. Anyway, yes, just the short barrel design for that. Moving on, we've got what I believe is the grenade launcher. This one also has a secondary handle here on the side. That's just fixed in place. It doesn't move forward and back, up or down, or anything like that. And then over here, again, you can see just some mold lines. And there'll be mold lines and seam lines around on a lot of the parts that you're going to want to remove before painting the kit if you're planning on painting it. But again, really cool weapon here for this one. I do really like the variety of weaponry that we get with this kit, and that is very much also including the bazooka here. So this one does have a clear part for the lens in that. I just don't have that in right now. And then this has the main handle. The secondary handle here is just fixed in place. You're definitely not going to be able to get a two-handed grip on that. But this does have a really cool design to it. I love the design here of the Votoms bazooka. Really cool. It looks really nice. I should also just mention that this camera here also doesn't move up or down, left, right, or anything like that. That's just fixed and a little bit loose in there too. So again, something you might just want to glue just to make sure that that doesn't get lost. And that's it for our accessories. You do also have a clear lens part there for the main camera. I just, again, have not put that in yet just because for whenever I get around to eventually someday maybe painting this, I just want to be able to not lose that part. But here on the runner there, you can also see there's that clear part for the bazooka camera lens as well. For the main body here, you can move the missile pod here over the shoulder up and down there. Of course, you can move the camera array there left and right. And unfortunately, we can't rotate the cameras, but this whole visor part will lift up so you can then see into the cockpit there. And one thing that I always find tricky reviewing this kit is that the head, this head cover here tends to pop off really easily because there's nothing really holding it on other than just kind of gravity and a little bit of friction sitting on top of there. But it does give me an opportunity to show you some really cool detail up on the inside of there. But yeah, you're definitely going to want to either glue that or just make sure it's good and solid. But it gives us an opportunity to here. You can see the pilot figure inside because this is the PS version. The hatch entirely does also lift up there like that. And again, some really nice detail inside. Obviously going to take some painting to get our pilot figure looking a little bit better, but you can see all that really nice detail up inside there. And just leaving that off here for the moment, the forearms here unfortunately do not have an extension gimmick for the punching gimmick there. If you go down onto the skirt armor, some nice detail on the front, nothing really up so much on the inside. There is actually some detail there. As you can see, it's not really super easy to see, not that you would really be able to see it too often anyway, but up underneath like the back skirt and side skirts there, you can see it's kind of a little bit more like truss detail. The extra ammo packs here on the side skirts are also just two pieces sandwiched together, so you'll have seam lines on those parts there as well as the ones up here inside like the backpack there also. So a lot of seams on those, seams on like these backpack parts too. Quite a few seams, and this backpack does also seem to want to be very loose and just kind of wants to fall off those hooks there. It should kind of like fit down onto there. And then this part for the machine gun plugs into the side, but still it's just kind of a little bit loose. Going down here to the legs then, there's no working gimmick for this part to actually slide down for like little pile driver bit there on the side of the foot. There is some nice detail up underneath the feet. And then here at the back for the jet roller dash units, I'm gonna use my tweezers to pop this out of there because it's kind of tricky. But that will fold out, and we got some nice color separated molded parts there for the wheels, though those aren't of course working wheels. Also for the little thruster belt in there too is a nice color separated piece. So that'll fold down there like that, and you can see there's a little bit of detail up inside of there as well. So that works pretty cool for our jet roller dash unit parts there, and you can kind of angle the foot as needed. And that also kind of goes to the down form. So of course for this is also able to do the down form as well. You just kind of lift up the back skirt. You're gonna fold the leg back. Obviously this part here would not be deployed, but the knee is gonna kind of slide out like that, and then we can kind of bend this up like so. So it works a little bit different from like the Bandai version, but then ultimately is going to basically kind of look the same there. So it is able to do it, and yes, just a little bit more kind of finicky in the process. And so that's definitely one thing that I've talked about in reviewing some of the Wave 1/3/5 scale Votoms kits in the past, is that they're definitely more kind of like they're going to require some more modeling skills. Basically, they're more seamline heavy. There's like some more finicky parts when you're just trying to handle the kit, parts that, little bits that tend to fall off, things like that. Just because this is just really kind of meant to be, you know, painted and glued and all that. So it's one that I would not really recommend quite so much for beginners. If you do want something that you can actually play around with more, you're not planning on painting it and doing all that, then I would definitely recommend getting Bandai's version of this kit. But if you are planning on painting it and do want some really nice details that you have with this one, I think this one probably has the best details in terms of just like comparing it with other versions of this kit from other companies in like this scale anyway. I would say that I think this kit does have the best details just kind of molded in. It looks really good. Even straight out of the box here, it looks nice. You can imagine how just doing some panel lining and some adding some decals on there and then just spraying some top coat will do a lot just to make this look even better. Even if you're not planning on fully painting the kit, you can then just do like a little bit of weathering on it too. And I think, you know, just straight out of the box, it's pretty much molded in almost all the right colors. It's maybe missing like a couple little color apps for some little details here and there, but I mean, you could just do kind of like a minimal job of just detailing this up with some panel lining, decals, top coat, and a little bit of weathering like that, and I think it would look fantastic. But otherwise, of course, I mean, like I said, this is one that I would definitely recommend if you're planning on wanting to paint the kit, you know, and then whether you're weathering it or not. But obviously, Votoms are pretty well suited for like being a little bit more weathered kind of than your standard, like compared to like Gunpla or whatever. But another thing that I really particularly like about this kit and this version of the kit is just the weapon options that we get. Unlike Bandai's version, we get a lot of weapons here in the box. Other than the rifle, you have the forearm mounted gun, you have the shorter machine gun, you have the grenade launcher, and then you have the bazooka as well. So you've kind of really got everything included with this, which is nice. So obviously this kit is going to be more expensive just because it's a Wave kit. It's the PS version. The PS versions are more than the ST versions just because they also have the interior cockpit detail and pilot figure included in there as well. So it is going to be more expensive, but it does come with like basically everything that you could want in there, which is great. So there's definitely some pros and cons to consider, but let me know what you guys think of the kit down in the comment section below. Which is your favorite version of this? I really like this version, but like I said, it's just going to take a little bit more work, a little bit more love, but I think it's going to look really good in the end. So if you want to check out some more Votoms model kits or anything else, you can check the link in the video description to US at Gundam store. Got lots of great stuff there on the site. And as always, guys, thanks so much for checking out the video here today. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, make sure that you're subscribed, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.